October, November, December onwards, price was just trickling, forming structure, clear reversal here on the lower timeframes, then we get the big push to the downside. The same thing is happening here.
I know it's gonna hurt, but you're worth fighting for.
So welcome back. It's currently Saturday morning and it's just gone 25 past 10. So I've been getting through a few things this morning, especially the market breakdown. So basically what I've been doing is I had around about 13 to 15 pairs last night on watch that I had flagged. What I've then done is just transferred those over to my watch list and kind of just filtered them out. So I filtered 13 to 15 down to 8 pairs, and of those 8 pairs, they are most likely to be ready within the first 3 to 5 days of the week. Within 5 days is a week. Within the first 3 days, I would say, of the week. So it's going to be interesting. So basically what I've got on my main watch list is I've got Euro dollar, Euro yen, Aussie dollar, Kiwi dollar, looking for longs on those pairs, unless the market shows me otherwise and we start dropping to the downside. But primarily looking for the longs unless the market shows me otherwise. But waiting for confirmation before getting in any of those trades. So I'm not looking to try and catch the reversal, waiting for the trend to change, because the higher time frames on things like Euro dollar, Euro yen are slightly bearish still. So I'm going to wait for initial trend change on the lower time frames before then considering the long. Otherwise, I'm not too fussed. Second watch list, I've got Kiwi CAD for the short. So yeah, that can push back up, but I'm going to show you in a minute as well. Dollar CAD, looking for the sell if that provides. I've got an equity on here, which is the NAS 100 USD. So I'm quite a big fan of this pair, especially recently with the structure. And then I've got dollar yen lastly. So NAS 100 currency is looking clean for the week ahead. The equity that I've got on watch is NAS 100. That's going to be interesting because it depends on the macro view. I need to do a video on this in terms of Instagram or something, or YouTube at some point in the future. It's just there is the censorship on social media platforms, which is unfortunate. So I have to tread carefully with what I say about a few different things. But yeah, it's crazy what's happening, and I think there's a lot of macro point of view in terms of equities right now. So it kind of depends on whether we get a second wave of COVID that I see this pushing to the downside. If we don't get that, everything's fine around the world, which I don't really see happen. This will just continue to trickle up likely. Where I see a big sell-off happening is if there is a second wave hit, and then there's a lot of fear around the world, people's minds, the mass psychology of things, that starts kicking. That's when we'll likely see a big drop to the downside on NAS 100 and across the board on equities. So that'll be interesting. But if we don't get that, I expect probably a short-term sell, or price to just continue trickling higher to all-time highs, which we're currently at right now. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting. But of course, there has to be a catalyst. Not to go into too much detail with this. I need to in the future at some point just to kind of share my opinion on this, share my 2 cents. But there has to be a catalyst to kick these moves off. You can look at NAS 100 right now and say it's very clean from a structural based standpoint. We've broken the bigger high. We're at all-time highs right now. We've got a bigger ascending channel. We're also forming a smaller time frame double top, plus a reversal structure on the lower time frames too. So you tell me that that's not priced into the downside. So if all this stuff's announced within the news, I'm not sure if it is going to be, but if it is, and let's say there's a second wave of COVID or something else comes out, that will likely be the catalyst to then kick that off to the downside, because structurally it tells you beforehand that it's going to drop. So it's an interesting one. I'm going to have to dig into it in a bigger video and kind of explain my 2 cents on that. But for right now, just more bearish on that pair, and then pretty neutral on other pairs as well. So I'm going to show you on the charts what I'm looking for in terms of the watch list, and then I'm going to show you what I'm going to get into next, which is going to be the advanced seller review. So let's go through that now. Right, so looking at the watch list, I said I've got the 2 main watch lists here. So we've got Euro dollar to the downside. So I'm going to show you right now. So let me dig into this. So just taking a look at Euro dollar, what we've got this higher time frame structure. Price is still bearish, like I said, so I'm not going to rush into any trades on Euro dollar. and if we start dropping to the downside and form continuation, then I will look to short that. However, I'm neutral biased on this for sure, as always, but at the same time I do see this coming back up to the upside should we get confirmation of that. So it wouldn't be unusual for Monday, Tuesday, more so Monday, for price to trickle around, form a little bit more cleaner development on price action before we get any initial momentum to the upside or downside. So going to be interesting for that one. But yeah, primarily euro dollar is my favorite for the week ahead. Looking for longs on that. Same with euro yen. Yen pairs were looking strong for shorts last week. Now there's a few still potentially shaping up for shorts, but we may get some short-term buys as well. So euro yen, as you can see, the high time frame is still very bearish, especially after that change in trend. However, this can change pretty quick. So I'm not going to change bias until the market shows me I should do. But at the same time, if this drops to the downside and we get a continuation, I will look to short that. However, if we get that initial push to the upside, followed by continuation, then I will look to get long on that should we get a clear change in trend. Aussie dollar, just waiting for price to trickle down. It wouldn't be unusual Monday, Tuesday for price to trickle down to this 0.677 level region here before we get long on that pair. Same with Kiwi dollar, exactly the same for 0.38, looking for longs around this area, but looking for confirmation first. I'm not going to try and call the lows here. It's a tricky market environment to try and call the lows in, so I'm waiting for confirmation, wait for the first impulse, followed by the continuation to then get long on that. Kiwi CAD is not the best nature-wise because it's very, very corrective and choppy at this point. However, I do see a lot of opportunity on this pair due to the fact that we are at this bigger double top, and these are December 19 highs. So as we can see within nature here, if you just look at the chart here, price is just topping out, so I do expect this to come to the downside. It's just whether we pop up one more time or we come down from here. Actually looks on the higher time frames like we're coming down from here. So if we do get a clear impulse to the downside followed by continuation, I will look to short that. Otherwise, I'm looking for the push up to this value area here at the top to then begin to sell this. Dollar CAD pretty similar. Higher time frames are not the best. It looks quite early in development right now, still quite bearish. Looking for price to push up to this area value at this bigger lower time frame double top, and then I'll be looking to short that once we do get confirmation. This is what I was talking about on NAS 100. So take a look at this, right? Exactly the same happened in February. So I'm not saying this has to come to the downside because it doesn't. It definitely doesn't. There's a few factors involved. But should this come to the downside, this will be a very, very nice move. So as we can see, what happened in, when was this? Back in February, we got the big move to the downside, a lot of volatility kick in. It's pretty similar price action here right now. So as you can see, leading up to that point in February, this was December onwards, pretty much October, November, December onwards, price was just trickling, forming structure, clear reversal here on the lower time frames, and then we get the big push to the downside. The same thing is happening here on the NAS 100. So we've got this bigger ascending channel. We don't even need this arguably because we can see it with our own eyes, right? What have we got on the lower time frames? Double top, price coming back up to retest that double top, and then how are we getting there? This could just drop out from here. This can just continue trickling up. However, let's say price does this. Let's say, it's not the best drawing. Let's say price pushes up, we form a clear 3-touch or whatever it is, or a clear reversal structure, and we start pushing to the downside. There has to be a catalyst for that to happen, but I see that happening potentially in the near future. So that's going to be interesting. We'll let's capitalize on that move if that happens, and then dollar yen as well. So last but not least, dollar yen needs a lot more time, which is why I'm not looking to rush into this, but we may get some buying opportunities around this area should we get confirmation once again. So not looking to rush in anything by any means, but if we do get pushes to the upside, then I will be looking to get long on that. That trade to the downside was nice, by the way. So that trade I talked about in the daily routine video. So I was looking at a sell in this area here. I actually took the sell, took a 1% loss on that. Found me that I would take that over and over again. Price pushed up with NFP, I think that was, and then we started to trickle its way down, start to retrace that behavior, and then what did we form? First flag, drop to the downside. So structure always aligns ahead of time before it happens, and then we get a bigger drop to the downside. So really nice move. Something to learn for myself. We did get a couple of scaling opportunities as well, which I didn't capitalize on, but once again, it's just a mistake on my end, not the market. But yeah, looking good for the week ahead. That's my watch list really, and I'm about to get into some ASR right now as well. So we just finished up with ASR. So I just wanted to show you an example of this to how number one, how I laid out, and then number two, an in-depth review of a trade that I actually took last week. So this will be interesting. So as I said before, took 2 losses, 1 win last week. The win outweighed the losses, which is a good sign. So I took 2 trades on euro dollar. So one was a win, one was a loss, and then a loss on euro yen, as you can see here as well. So just wanted to talk you through this trade itself and how I laid out, because I think a lot of you will know how I laid out anyway. I've left templates down in videos before, and I've done videos on this in the past. But I just wanted to show you this. So what have we got here? So we've got euro yen short taken on the 16th of June, and then it was a high prop trade in my eyes, taken for a 1% loss. So it is what it is. Now this is a clear sign for me whether I forecast the trade, is the trade congruent to my plan. This is a big sign, and let's say both of these are no, or one of these are no and one of these are yes. That's a big red flag in my eyes, because I know that I haven't fully followed the usual same protocol that I usually do. But in this situation, everything was done correctly, so all good. Trade analysis, what have we got here? Triple touch larger flag formation on euro yen to the downside. Higher time frames looking bearish still, and there was a high criteria of confluence to back up this position. Took the 1 hour retrace candle on the break of a 15-minute phase line for the entry. Psychology. Now, you know I'm always interested in psychology here, so let's take a look at this. So as I said here, I woke up in the middle of the night for the position. Therefore, because of that, I can't say that I was in the clearest mentality, because I was waking up in the middle of the night. However, because I planned for the trade in advance, there was no to limited emotion, and I was happy putting the trade on at this point. We did get another possible entry after I took the 1% loss, but I wouldn't have chased the position at that point anyway, because I was asleep. So fine with that. Quick technical lesson as well. And then trade management, nothing I could really do at this point to reduce risk or move to break even or anything like that. If I just showed you the forecast prior to taking the trade, what do we have? So I was forecasting this structure here, and just to show you the date as well of that, if we just zoom in, as you can see here, it's taken that this screenshot was taken on TradingView on the 15th of June at 21:14, so pretty much 9:15 p.m. in the UK. So that was prior to the trade developing. And if we just take a look at the trade itself, so I took the entry here. So I took the entry here, if I just move the camera down, I took the entry here, and then after I went back to sleep, I was taken out for the 1% loss, and then we did get another entry, but I'm not going to chase the trade, and then we started dropping to the downside from that point onwards. So found with that overall, nice trade. I would definitely take that again regardless of the loss, and that's where you have to be neutral. You can't look at every loss and be like, I won't take that again because it was a loss. You can't be outcome driven. You have to be focused on, was the trade set up in alignment with my plan? If so, perfect, you take the trade if you know you have an edge within the market. If not, don't take the trade, learn from it. So pretty simple in that aspect, but happy with that trade and took the other 2 as well. So pretty much finished with that right now, and I'm going to get on with some other things. So last but not least, after I've done my ASR, what I'll tend to do right now, this is a new thing that I've added in, so I'll talk about this in the future as I'm still experimenting with this a little bit, kind of finding my feet with this. But for right now, what I'm doing is just putting a little performance report on for the week, how I've performed, what results I've had, any lessons that I've learned. So this is one that I did in the past, so this is one 2 weeks ago I think, so back end of May. So as you can see here, so I've taken 3 trades this week. Aussie yen short for -1, UK 100 short for 3.4, UK 100 short scaling for 1.15. So I've just put a little bit of analysis there, and then following on from that, I've just put a quick lesson in terms of this. So I put overall, I'm a lot happy with the performance this week, especially later in the week once I took note of the following lesson and added it into my trading plan for further reference. And yeah, just a quick lesson on like nature and stuff like that. But this is what I like to put together because it almost helps me treat it like a business a lot more, because it's a business document. So this is a performance report, like I said before, for the week, how I've performed, anything that I've learned, and then I just usually have this open in a tab so that I can learn from this and kind of not apply the same mistakes going forward into the next week. So this is what I like to put in place, but as I said before, I'm still experimenting with this, still finding my feet, so I'll share more about this in the future. But for right now, is just kind of doing my own thing and figuring a few things out. But this is the last thing that I put in place on a Saturday, really, in terms of the morning anyway. So as you would imagine, it's a little bit later on now, so it's just about to go 11 a.m. and I pretty much finished up with everything. So finished up with the market breakdown, as I showed you before, finished up with the advanced self-review and journaling, and then finished up with the document to end off in terms of the performance report. So pretty much finished up with everything so far. The only thing that I'm going to add in later on in terms of preparing for the next week is going to be forecasting the trades for next week later on tonight. So that's going to be like going through my watch list. My watch list is all prepped now for the week. It looks pretty sharp, and I'm going to go through that, and I'll be planning trades for the week ahead. So any setups that may form, I'll be looking to take that. I kind of just get my mind used to taking that in advance before those trades actually happen. Is that certain that the trades are going to materialize? Definitely not. That's not how the market works. You have to adapt in real life market conditions. However, some of those trades will develop. So it's all about preparing for that in advance, take the trades ahead of time, and then anything that doesn't, just adapt to the market conditions and then evolve your analysis based on that. So that's pretty much what I'm going to do. And then this afternoon is going to be back testing a few different other things in regards to other goals, but pretty much just back testing. What pair have we got today? Got Euro Yen today, Euro Yen 2020. So that's going to be the focus for me. And I'm going to go for a walk, hit the gym at home anyway, and then a few other things. So it should be good really. But that's pretty much my Friday night and Saturday morning routine. It's pretty simple, as you can see. It's not overcomplicated. I think I'm at an efficient level now where my routines are pretty in check. I pretty much feel like I know what I'm doing in regards to that. And it doesn't take too much thinking time. It's actually the most thinking time I actually took to actually think about what I actually do to then film that, because once things become second nature, you have to kind of think about how you do things. So I feel like that's the stage where I'm coming to now in regards to certain routines. But yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed sitting back and tuning into this video. Hopefully you've learned something that you can take away and apply into your own trading. And this is not like a black and white picture. This is not me saying this is the right way or the wrong way. It's for you to kind of see how I'm doing things on the journey to where I want to be in the future, and see if you can apply anything, tweak anything, put your own twist on things. That's kind of why I'm doing this in the first place. So yeah, thank you for tuning in. I will see you tomorrow for the next video, which is going to be really, really good. So expect that to drop soon, the next few days after this one's dropped. And yeah, catch you very soon. Have a good week ahead in the markets, and I'll catch you towards midweek. See you soon. With